Hey, what's good? It's your boy, Mixtape Moth, and today I'm going to revisit Kool G Rap's Roots of Evil album from 1998. Let's get to it. Alright, so Kool G Rap is a legendary MC coming out of Corona, Queens. He's one of the most underrated and influential MCs who came out of the first golden era of 80s rappers. Oftentimes, when people mention the greats from the mid to late 80s, they speak about Rakim, KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, and Slick Rick. Unfortunately, Kool G Rap isn't included in these conversations as frequently, but the real ones know his impact. Now, Kool G Rap can be credited as the father of Mafioso rap or East Coast street rap. Rappers like Nas, Raekwon, Ghostface, Big Pun, Eminem, and even 38 Special have all cited G Rap as a major influence on their rapping style. And lest we forget, G Rap is also known for being a pioneer of multi-syllabic rhyming. But today I wanted to revisit Kool G Rap's second solo album, Roots of Evil from 1998. The bulk of this album was recorded when he relocated from Queens, New York to Arizona. He had left Cold Chillin' Records and started his own label called Ill Street. This project contains 18 tracks, 3 of them being a skit with a total runtime of approximately an hour and 4 minutes in length. At the time this album dropped, it wasn't very well received. I suppose the same could have been said for his solo debut, 456, although I believe that garnered a little more praise. However, I personally consider 456 to be a classic, or at least a personal classic, even though it is not regarded as one of his best albums. So the main gripe about Roots of Evil was that it lacked strong production, and I can understand that criticism to a certain extent because let's be all the way real. The best beats on Roots of Evil are not as good as the best ones on 456 or even from his third solo album, the Giancana Story. Now, that is not to say that these instrumentals are whack. They are mostly solid to decent backdrops that get the job done. The samples aren't flipped in the most creative way, but they work. But to put it this way, Roots of Evil does not have the brilliant Mafioso soundscapes found on classic albums like Only Built for Cuban Links, It Was Written, Iron Man, Hell on Earth, Life After Death, or even Do or Die. However, let me stress this. On the lyrical front, G-Rap's storytelling and detailed criminology raps are second to none. His exceptional storytelling is what makes this a strong and slept on release, despite it having, at times, average production. It's safe to say that he set a new standard in 1998 for this particular style of multi-syllabic rhyming and storytelling, just as he did 3 years earlier on 456. But with that being said, let me go ahead and give y'all this track-by-track breakdown. The intro is just a skit that brings the listener into his dangerous world as a hitman for hire. This bleeds into the first actual song, Hitman's Diary, set to an elegant and upbeat piano loop. G-Rap details his adventures as a hitman. The lyricism is picturesque, cinematic, and his attention to detail is striking. He just sets the scene with lines like, "Yo, it was midnight and rainy and spotted these 3 Panamanians, gold chains and carrying Iranian." The whole track has very descriptive and rich lyricism. I always viewed this song as a 1998 equivalent to his work from his Live and Let Die album with DJ Polo in 1992. Track 2 is One Dark Night. Now, I've always considered this to be one of the best interlude or short tracks of all time. You get some dark and bass heavy production with the sound of rain and a thunderstorm at nighttime. G-Rap tells the tale of a gun brawl involving 4 ops, or 4 people who tried to kill him, but they were all met with a violent fate. What makes this track so astounding is the unique flow and rhyme scheme that G-Rap employs. You have internal rhyming and multi-syllabic patterns throughout, and he's able to do all of this while telling a story that is easy to follow and, most importantly, it makes sense. An example from it is, I stepped right inside the street light, my gunner was bright, sent him to kiss Christ and let my shit slice in front of him twice. Right after was his single Foul Cats. This samples from Marvin Gaye's Poor Abby Wash. It was a solid instrumental. However, I personally feel that Pete Rock flipped this sample much better on Mike Geronimo's single Unstoppable from the previous year. On this record, G Rap gives us an in-depth tale of revenge. After having been set up, the intricate storytelling is phenomenal. This bitch named Charisse from East New York. Listen, bitch, you better talk or get your whole frame surrounded by white chalk. G-Rap displays his ruthlessness when he talks about making his adversaries OD off heroin after injecting it into one of their veins. He states, his mouth foaming, looking like he possessed by the omen. His bitch was reaching for the phone and I had to smack her with the chrome and left her on the floor moaning. We see more of G-Rap's penchant for lyrical violence on To Kill a Sunrise. This is set to a Mexican styled backdrop. It's like you can envision a scene with the drug cartel somewhere in the desert along the Mexican border. G-Rap tells the tale of a drug deal gone bad in which he murders the cartel and takes their coke. Once again, his storytelling is very movie-like and rich in detail. Killers in Spanish Villas in Santa Fe essay is all about hammer play and some cats behind cactuses clapping hazardous. Who these guys with low shot averages busting right back at their cabbages. I always had a feeling this song was likely inspired by what he heard or saw living out in Arizona at the time. The plug talk and cartel vibes were really strong throughout this track. What follows is the skit at the wake. This finds G-Rap and one of his partners attending an enemy's wake. G-Rap ends up laughing and spitting into the casket of the deceased on some real disrespectful shit. This transitions smoothly into Home Sweet Funeral Home, a posse cut with an alarming and ominous instrumental. This features Papoose and Jinx the Juvie. One interesting fact about this record is that this was the first time we ever heard Papoose on wax. Although G-Rap had the best verse, some of Papoose's bars still stand out to me to this day. Even the most disrespectful respect mine. Lightweighted, but I rep mine. I don't lift weights, but I'll bench press a Tech 9. Immediately following is Mobsters. This contains a suspenseful soul sample beat that we later heard other artists sample, namely Cormega. Mobsters is a fictional tale about Italian mobsters and gangsters fighting for territory. G-Rap uses his imagination to weave together a story involving these underworld legends, and you could tell that Kool G Rap was an organized crime historian. You know, he was up on his true crime shit. He wasn't someone that just relied on the cliche names like John Gotti and Al Capone. Rather, he references gangsters like Frank Nitti, Frank Costello, Joe Adonis, Pretty Boy Floyd, Jack McGurn, John Torrio, and Bugsy Siegel. Once again, the storytelling was very impressive. I could quote the whole thing, but I won't. Just know that this puts the capital M in Mafioso rap. Next is Let the Games Begin. You get an eerie piano refrain that is sampled from an old gospel record. It's a dark and minimalist beat, but it works for G-Rap to spit his ill gun talk, crazy wordplay, and creative threats. There's a ton of quote-worthy bars here. Curtains for anybody perping, leaving them hurt for certain. Blood on the curb with bandages like turbans, and hazardous shit. My guns is accurate, sending guys to meet the king of Nazareth. Then what follows is the epic A Thug's Love Story, chapter 1, 2, and 3. Now this is the greatest criminal storytelling track of all time, in my opinion, and it's easily one of the best storytelling tracks in general. Dr. Butcher provided G-Rap with 3 very cinematic, moody, and haunting instrumentals for each verse. This track lasts a whopping 9.5 minutes. I'm not going to quote anything because it's too difficult to choose the best bars, but this song is proof as to why G Rap was labeled the Donald Goines or Mario Puzo of this rap shit. It's a phenomenal 5 mic song. The subsequent track, The Boss's Lady, was inspired by a scene from the movie Scarface where Tony takes Frank's girl. This features a female rapper named Chameleon. There is a pretty dope back and forth between G Rap and Chameleon. While I feel G Rap dominated this track for sure, Chameleon held her own. Beat wise, I feel this instrumental was just okay. It does contain a sped up sample from Sister Sledge. It's not a bad beat or a bad song, but I just never got into it as much as some of the others. On Mafioso, Kool G Rap demonstrates why he's the nicest in the Mafioso rap subgenre. This has a lively and soulful boom bap beat with some dope scratches. Streets remain flooded with D's, bundling keys to maintain 100 degrees. Main crime wave, we handle beef in 9 ways. Get your mind grazed from Tech 9 sprays, your spine blazed. So he's coming through with a bombardment of machine gun raps. It's all crispy and excellent wordplay. What comes next is easily my least favorite song, Thug's Anthem. Interestingly enough, this was recorded back in 1995, but the Spanish guitar and cartel sounding production almost feels ahead of its time. This was intended to be a high energy banger, but I feel it falls a little short. The main reason is because I don't like the 2 feature verses from Johnny Two Guns and Poker Face. After this is The Heat. You are getting a very dusty and off-kilter jazz loop set to some crunchy drums. G-Rap hits us with more insane wordplay and also some lyrical miracle rap. Check my biography as possibly, because I was ahead of my time just like a prophecy, monstrosity. Brothers want to copy me like photography. Then there is the second single, Can't Stop the Shine, featuring R&B vocals from Miss Jones. This was the second track to have been recorded from 1995. You will also remember Miss Jones from her impressive vocals on AZ's single, Sugar Hill. By the time this had come out in 1998, we had already heard this similar sound done before by all members of the firm. I can't help but feel this single would have likely had a bigger impact had it have been released when it was recorded back in 1995. My favorite line has to be drama wild, leave you laying Castellano style. So this was obviously in reference to mob boss Paul Castellano getting whacked outside Midtown Manhattan's Spark Steakhouse back in 1985. The last actual song before the bonus is Cannon Fire, and this is a monstrous 5 mic closing track on the album. It was said to be G-Rap's sequel to his Streets of New York single. It has a dark instrumental that samples from a slowed down version of the Isley Brothers Ballad for the Fallen Soldiers. G-Rap gives you 3 verses of lyrical slaughter. Now this might contain the most impressive rhyme schemes and bars throughout the whole album. It's a lyrical slugfest for sure. Then the bonus track is Daddy Figure. This has trendier production with a slick guitar lick and an R&B hook. The beat felt like a Trackmasters meets Bad Boy mashup. It kind of registered as a firm album throwaway, to be honest. Now, I actually didn't mind the song personally, but I could understand why some fans disliked the track due to its overtly commercial sound. However, lyrically, he was spitting some very vivid, romantic, and luxury rap bars. Overall, I give this project a rating of a strong 4 to 4.5 mics. I'd say the lyrics are a 4.5 to a 5, while the beats are a 3 to 3.5. So that balances out to a strong 4 to 4.5 mics in my opinion. This is an essential album if you are a fan of criminology rap, mafioso rap, or if you just want an album with some stellar storytelling. I feel some of these songs could have easily been a script for a Scorsese movie. That's just how vivid G-Rap's imagery and narratives were. Let's be clear, G-Rap is the father to many of our favorite rappers' styles to this day. This project kind of flew under the radar back in 1998, but I do get the sense that over time it has become better appreciated. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of this album. You know, where do you rate it in terms of his solo projects? It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but as always, it's peace and blessings. Be sure to hit that like button and please subscribe. Kool G Rap, Roots of Evil 1.